Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Desktop Central Training. I thank everyone for joining today's webinar session in your busy schedule. Let me introduce myself. My name is Abraham Jabaraj, and I have 5 years of IT industry experience, and I will be the presenter for today's webinar session. So today we'll be talking about remote control and tools. So let's have a quick look at the training schedule. Today's topic is remote control on Desktop Central. All the trainings will be recorded and it can be easily accessed in the below mentioned website, desktopcentral.com training.html. In case if you missed the previous training modules, you can access this link to download the recorded videos, and even registered participants will be receiving the recorded training videos in email. Okay, great. So before we move into the agenda of today's webinar, which is remote control in Desktop Central, let's have a quick discussion about Desktop Central. What is Desktop Central? Desktop Central is a unified endpoint management solution which helps you in managing desktops, laptops, servers, and even mobile devices. So in traditional endpoint management solution, management system, we have some difficulties on managing modern IT devices, which involves heterogeneous device models, and also the devices will travel from company or organization's network to outside network. So this Desktop Central tool offers an umbrella approach as a unified endpoint management solution to manage all these devices from a centralized location. So this UEM edition of Desktop Central offers all Desktop Central features like software deployment, patch management, remote control, and all the features, and OS deployment solution, and modern Windows 10 management options, along with MDM, like mobile management system. So here are the supported operating systems of remote control in Desktop Central. So basically it's supported on Windows, Macintosh, and Linux. Here you can see the versions which are supported. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the architecture of Desktop Central. Desktop Central is an on-premises solution, and this will work as client-server based application. For example, you need to install agents on each machine that you wish to manage. So here the machines in blue are the machines where the agent is running. So you can install agents on Linux, Mac, and Windows machines, and even server machines. So Desktop Central agents can be installed through multiple ways. For example, from the console, you can push the agents. You can use group policy in Active Directory. If your machines are managed by Active Directory, you can use this to install agent. Or even you can use the manual method or script-based deployment to deploy the agents. So after installing the agents, you can manage the machines in the LAN network, where the machines will be directly communicating to the server in the same LAN or the same network. Also, you can manage the machines in WAN, which is in your remote offices, using the distribution server. What is distribution server? For example, if you are managing more than 10 machines in a remote office, and if you have concerns with bandwidth, then you can use the distribution server component. So when a patch or a software task is created for machines which are located in this remote office, the client machines will not directly reach the main server to download the patches or software packages. Instead, this distribution server will act as a representative, download required patches, and distribute them locally to the machines under them. So this feature will ensure the better management of bandwidth in your network during this patch deployment job or any software deployment jobs. So even roaming users who move from one location to another location can be easily managed by this desktop central. So to manage these roaming users, you can either use a network address translation, use a publicly exposed FQDN so that the machines in internet can reach out to the server through FQDN, or you can place the desktop central server directly into the DMZ zone and you can expose to internet, or you can use this additional add-on component called secure gateway. So what is this secure gateway? In case if I don't have an option to place the desktop central directly into the DMZ zone, then I can get the secure gateway component installed in DMZ zone. So this component acts as a proxy between the desktop central server as and the agents which is in remote office or the agents which is roaming outside. So any communication from the machines which is outside your local network will be routed only through this secure gateway. And this secure gateway is like an optional component. So you can enable this if you like to have it. So even desktop central's architecture is scalable to manage larger networks up to 20,000 machines in the single, even more than 20,000 machines in a single instance. So this is feasible only because of this 90 minutes refresh policy we use. What is 90 minutes refresh policy? So every desktop central agent will be contacting the server for every 90 minutes. So that is called agent refresh cycle. So this feature ensures all computers in the network contact the server regularly. And two important factors are ensured here. Number one, network is not choked by the agent server communication, meaning bandwidth is not disturbed due to this communication. And even the performance of the server is not getting affected anytime. So desktop central server itself has an intelligence to ensure a systematic, streamlined communication from the agents in a regular interval. So, and it will also slice down the number of client machines that should communicate to them per minute. For example, in a network of 90 computers, one computer will reach out to the desktop central server every minute. Likewise, if you're managing 900 computers, 10 computers per minute will reach out to the server. Likewise, for a larger network like 9,000 machines, 100 computers will reach out to the server per minute. So using this feature, agent can communicate to the server without any issues or hesitation. So that's the aim of this 19 minutes refresh policy. So here are the ports that you also need to open in order to use the components features available in Desktop Central. For example, voice and video chat is one of the features associated with these products, which works in UDP port, which is 8443. And even agent server communication happens in a port 8020. And server to agent notification happens on port 8027. In case if you want to enable secure communication, you can enable secure communication with the port 8383. So to know more about these ports, you can refer the below URL desktopcentral.com ports. Okay, so here are the components involved in Desktop Central. Trust we already discussed about the server, agent, notification server, and all that. Distribution server. So notification server is another important component which plays an important role in any on-demand tasks like remote control or any on-demand scans like patch scan, inventory scan, and all that. So we'll also discuss about this notification server role in remote control in detail later in the upcoming slides. Additionally, the failover server brings in an additional server which will actively monitor the performance of the primary server. And when the primary server goes down, this failover server will take place and take charge, and this will eliminate the downtime in your business. So this is also an optional component. You can utilize this if you need it. Okay, next. You can also place Desktop Center server in AWS or Azure platform. So there are advantages placing your Desktop Center server in cloud. For example, if you're a managed service provider, having the server in cloud will be an advantage for you. So you can manage the machines across different parts of the globe and all that easily. And this is also going to be an cost-effective solution where you don't have to manage the hardware and you don't have to maintain the hardware and the software there. So Desktop Central itself will be available in its own cloud platform very soon. So we also have plans to release Zoho Cloud platform. So you should also be able to um, implement the Desktop Central there. And so that's an available options for the cloud as of now. Okay, so yeah, we are also happy to introduce that we have introduced a new application, new solution called Remote Access Plus. So which is only for remote management. So which is only having the features for remote management of the computers, remote control tools and all that. So this is available in two flavors, on-premise as well as in clouds. In case if you like to know more about Desktop Central as well as Remote Access Plus, you can visit this URL, or you can let us know your queries in the chat, and our panel will be able to answer this question for you. Okay, so let's move on to the today's topic. So today's topic is remote control and tools. So here's the agenda of today's training on remote control and tools. We'll first start with the overview of remote control and we'll see how it works in the background first. And followed by that, we'll be discussing on the uses of remote control and the other tools with few real-time examples. For example, first we'll see how a help desk technician can use remote control for resolving tickets, like handling the request from the customers or from the users. Second, I have taken common issues in PCs, which is system slowness. So let's see how Desktop Central and its tools can be used in this situation. And again, third, in an organization, enforcing IT policies is very much important. So we'll see how Desktop Central can be used here. And finally, we'll see how we can use Desktop Central to alert in an emergency situations like your Microsoft Exchange server is down and all that. So followed by that, we'll be discussing on few other interesting scenarios and solutions that we came across in our support experience. During this training, if you guys have any questions at any point, you can ask your questions in chat. So we have an expert panel available, so they will be answering the questions. We will also be discussing some frequently asked questions by end of this presentation. Okay, right. So first, overview of remote control and tools. Okay, so here are the modules that we're going to cover. So first is, why do enterprise needs remote control and tools? Okay, this is a basic question. Okay, so remote control and other tools are needed in an enterprise environment to resolve the help desk tickets when it comes to a help desk scenario, and also to enforce some IT policies in your organization. You need some tools and options. You can centrally manage them. Also, you need to have a proper remote control tool and a proper options to troubleshoot on any issues like system slowness issues and other basic issues or other basic requests requested by the end users. So having a best remote control and tools in an organization will be able to cater all the needs here. So that's the main aim of using tools and remote control in an enterprise. So to explain these features in remote control and tools a little more in detail, let me take a real-time scenario to discuss in detail. So first, this is the first real-time scenario that I have taken. So In this scenario, we'll see how an help desk technician can use remote control feature in Desktop Center to help the user and resolve the ticket quickly. So let's assume an end user named Bob sends a help desk ticket. So he raises a ticket, and the ticket is assigned to a technician named John. And so John logs into his Service Desk Plus. So Service Desk Plus is a ManageEngine's ticketing tool. So John logs into his Service Desk Plus and he checks the ticket. And the ticket has two requests here. One is installing Adobe Acrobat application, and the next is Wi-Fi connection not working. So let me show you live how technician John can help Bob on this situation. So for better understanding, assume myself as John. So I'm logged in as Jonathan here on this console. So now, okay, first, this is the service desk portal. So John logs into his service desk portal first, check the request, and finds a ticket ID, which is 381. So this is where Bob has requested this request. Request 1 is for installing Adobe Acrobat. Next is Wi-Fi connectivity issues. Right. So this is a ticket ID now. So now I need to resolve this two requests using the tools options in Desktop Center. Number one, I need to find Bob's computer. Okay, so I will go to Tools section and I'll click on Remote Control and I'm going to click on Computers tab. So from this Computers tab, I can see all the computers that I'm managing with agents. So if you see the status as green, it means it is communicating to the server, and if it is red, it means it is not communicating to the server. For now, I wanted to search for Bob's computer. So I know the username as Bob, so I will use the keyword Bob, search for it. Here we go. So here is the Bob's computer. So now I need to connect to Bob's computer and troubleshoot on his request. Right. So now you see here two different users are logged into this computer now. Okay, so I'm going to use this action icon to see the available users. So I need to connect to Bob's computer now. So I'll click on Bob here to connect to it. Okay, so before I connect to his computer, there are a few important options that I need to highlight. Number one, prompt user for confirmation. Okay, this is a very important feature, which is something most of the healthcare organizations will, would like to use for a security purpose. So, for example, we have a compliance for HIPAA. Okay, HIPAA compliance. So, as per this compliance, you should get a permission from the end user before you connect to his computer. So, you can enable this option, set the conditions, set the message that you want to show up on the client mission's end, and then you can click on connect. So when you click on connect, a message will be triggered on the end user's computer, and the end user should allow or deny before you connect to his computer. So this is a very important feature that you can use. Second option is the viewer type. Okay, so we do support two viewer type. One is HTML5 viewer, the second is ActiveX viewer. So ActiveX is an old viewer, which is Microsoft's standard, and HTML5 is the new standard, so which is most browser friendly and even more faster when compared to ActiveX. So you can very well use this option. So now I wanted to use this, and I have disabled this option for now, and I'm not connect to Bob's computer. So I'm clicking on Bob now. Okay, so here is another important option. So it will right away ask me to enter the reason. Okay, so now I have, so this is regarding the, okay. So this reason will be captured and it can be viewed for an auditing purpose. Why this has been, why this remote session has been taken and all that. The next is the request ID. So request ID is 381. So as you see here on this, so I'm entering the same ticket ID, click on connect. So within few minutes, a remote session will be connected. Okay, great. So now, since the Bob end user Bob is using two monitors. I'm able to see two monitors. I can switch back and forth. So here are the options. On the right hand side, you will see the layout options. You can see vertical layout, horizontal layout, and even you can see the parallel layout where you can see both the screens and all that. So both options are feasible. Okay, you can see both the screens at the same time. You can move window from one screen to another window directly over here. Okay, that is option available here. So for now, like I will choose the vertical layout, and I'm selecting. Right, I'm using this option. Okay, selecting this. So now on the right hand side of the screen, you will see this option. Okay, let me show you this. Okay, so you'll see this. So this window will be visible to the end user as well. So this will tell the user who is actually controlling. Jonathan, the technician, is actually controlling his computer. So this will be visible for the end user. Okay, so that's a very good option. Right, and even I have enabled a screen recording here. That's why I see the notification is that it is recording. So in case I wanted to disable the screen recording, I can go to the screen recording tab before I initiate a remote session. I can disable this option, right? So after I end the session, I'll be able to download the recorded files from this history view. Okay. For now, I'll go into the remote session now. All right. Okay. So now Bob has requested two different things for me, right? So one is he has requested me to install Adobe Acrobat Suite, and next is to resolve Wi-Fi troubleshooting issues. Okay, so first let's go about the first uh, request, which is Adobe Acrobat installation. Okay, so now I can use the chat options in the left-hand side to communicate to Bob at any point. So hi Bob, this is Abraham. Sorry, this is Bob. This is John from Helpdesk team. Would like to assist you on so and so request. So I can type the message over here and I can let the Bob know that I'm going to work on this particular issue. Right. So now the first request is for installation. Okay. So usually, um, in an organization, you will have all the installers in a network share, in a secure network share. So I need to access the network share on Bob's machine. I need to transfer the required installer files or access the installer files to initiate the installation. In a conventional way, you should be, I know you will be normally using the Windows Explorer by using this option to access the network share or use the run option. But here we have a very good shortcut method. Here in this option called quick launch, you have almost all kinds of administrative tools and shortcuts. For example, if you wanted to launch a command prompt, you can launch a command prompt. If you want to launch a computer management window or a control panel or a device manager, you can easily launch it over here. Okay. Even by default, it will be running in a system user privilege. You can change it and run it in a specific administrator privilege as well. All right. Okay. Now my aim is to access the network share. So I can access the Windows Explorer from here directly and launch it. And I can access the network share. But this network share is a confidential network share. I don't want the end user Bob to see what I'm actually accessing, the password that I'm typing and all that. So I have an option to blacken the monitor temporarily until I do access some confidential information. So here I use this option called blacken monitor and blacken it. So if I enable this option, the end user will not be able to see anything. It will only be a black screen. So that will be a panic situation for the user. The end user will not know what is happening. So I need to alert the user that I'm going to temporarily blacken the monitor. So I'm going to type a message saying, hi Bob. So I'm going to blacken the monitor for a few minutes. So may I request your permission on that? So Bob is going to say okay on that. So I can go ahead and initiate that process. Where is that? Okay, here we go. So Bob is going to say yes for that. So now I can go ahead and blacken the monitor. So now it will give a confirmation. Click on OK. So now the end user will not see anything, so I can access anything on his computer. So I'm accessing the network share, I'm accessing the confidential share, copying the files to the local machine, and then I will use the administrator credential and install that. So this options will help you in installing the application in an administrator mode or in a normal mode. Right. So I have successfully installed the application now. So now I need to activate this application by using the license key. Okay. So the license key is not available in the network share, and I have that in my computer, in my email address. I mean, in my email. So I'm downloading that file locally to my computer, and I need to transfer that file to this computer, Bob's computer. How do I do that? So for that, we have this option called file transfer. You use this option, so you can select the file from the desktop. This is my desktop. So there will be a file here. Okay. So assume this is a file. Okay. So I'm going to transfer that to the desktop of the target computer by using this option. So I'm going to transfer this file here over here and apply the license file. So I can use the file transfer directly on this remote session itself. Okay, so now the first request has been resolved, successfully installed the application and all that. So I can revert the blackened monitor. I can revoke the monitor access to the end user. Okay, so I can intimate the user if I need. Okay, so let's go for the second request. So second request is for Wi-Fi, troubleshooting Wi-Fi connectivity issues. Okay, so now with my limited knowledge, I'm going to try some troubleshootings in the network level. So I'll go ahead, open the network um, network sharing components. I'll check the drivers, I'll check the connectivity, try the basic troubleshootings and all that, but I'm unable to resolve the issue. Okay, so now I'm going to request one of my senior technician. His name is Peter. So I'm going to request him to assist me on this particular same remote session to assist me on this Wi-Fi issues. How do I do that? So currently Jonathan is already on the session. So now I'm minimizing this window and I'm opening the browser again on a incognito mode. And so now assume myself as Peter. So I'm logging in as Peter now with his account. So Peter also will be going into tools, remote control, and he will see the option as view desktop this time since the session is already there. So now he can click on view desktop. It will tell you Jonathan is already using this. So click on yes, it will give me the control. Okay, one thing that you need to understand is first thing it will tell you is that the Bob is using, the end user is using two monitors to the Peter. Okay, so Peter, I'm knowing, so I'll know that there is two monitors available there. Second option, I cannot directly access I cannot take the control directly over here. So what I can do is I can request for a active mode. So by default, it will be in a view only mode because Jonathan is already having a full control on that session. Only one user can have full control on that session. So Peter has to request for a full control from this option called active mode. So now Peter will have a full control. So now Peter is going to access the device manager and he is going to access the driver of the Wi-Fi adapter and he fixes the issue. So now the machine has to be rebooted. So Peter has informed Jonathan that the machine has to be rebooted on fixing this issue. Okay, so now Peter disconnects from his remote session. Peter can leave and Jonathan will still be there on the remote session. Okay, right. So now Jonathan has to reboot the PC with user permission. Okay, number one, again, I need to get the permission from the end user to reboot the PC. I can use the chat option. I can seek the permission from the user. So I'm requesting for permission. So Bob is going to say yes. Okay. So now I'm going to reboot the machine. Okay. Even for the reboot, I don't have to use the normal method of start menu. I can initiate the reboot or shut down anything from here directly. For example, I'll go to the quick launch option, go to the power option. I can go for reboot, or even I can go for reboot in safe mode or shut down. So these options can be done. So it'll be a reboot and reconnect. So if I click on reboot, it will reboot and connect me to the same session once again. So that's a advantage for you, right? So these are all this is how a help desk technician can resolve the issues efficiently using this remote control. Okay, let's also have a quick look at the other options that we haven't noticed yet. So first, you can use shortcuts like Control Alt Delete Alt Tab to key in any if it is in the login screen, you can use this option to log in your type in your password and all that. And back and monitor disable input, use client's keyboard. So this is all straightforward. You can disable the input devices of the client machines, for the user, so that you will have a full control. You can take screenshots directly from here. And quick launch we have seen, and administrative tasks. You can initiate a cleanup task. You can also even update a group policy instantly by using this option. And file transfer we have seen, and chat. You can do text chat, voice call, and video call. Okay, so this option is also feasible. So even you can use this hotkeys. So where if you wanted to press multiple keys, you can press and hold, and you can do multiple shortcut keys option using this. So here, this icon will allow you to switch between the monitors using this view. So this is also another option. In case, if I'm opening a window here, and if that window opens on a different screen, it will show me a small alert message saying that this window has been opened on a different monitor as well. So that is also an advantage for you, right? Okay, so now that is all about the first scenario, resolving help desk tickets. So till now we have seen how practically remote control works. So let's see how it works in the background conceptually. Right. So first, technicians, technician Jonathan logged into the console and initiate the remote control. Okay. And searches for the Bob's computer, initiate the remote control, and that remote control request will be sent to the desktop central server. So desktop central listens to the request, and then desktop central server has two components, gateway component and the notification server component. So notification server component is used for on-demand tasks. So remote control is an on-demand task. So this notification server forwards the request to the actual target mission. So this target mission will have the agent installed, and that agent will start the remote control services, and that remote control services will be doing the image capture. So we'll do capturing the images and send them to the desktop central server. So this will send the details to the desktop central server. So then the gateway component will forward that images to the technician one. Likewise, if technician one logs into his console and requests for a remote control on the same machine, then the server gateway component will detect that there is a session already running. That's why you will see the option view desktop, and you click on view desktop, and the same images shared to the technician one will be shared to the technician two. So this is how the remote control works in the background. Right. So if you have any questions on the functionalities or the scenario we discussed, you can share your comments or questions in the chat. So our expert panel will answer your questions. Right. So next question is, how secure is this remote control? So remote control is where where you will be accessing sensitive data of the end users. So you should be very much careful. You should be having a secure protocol and secure methods enabled on this remote control. So what are the security features, compliance available here in this remote control feature? Number one, we do support HIPAA and PCI and the trade practice compliance. Okay, so remember I told you about the HIPAA, which is for requesting permission from the end user before you connect to this. So getting the confirmation from the end user before every session can be enabled. All right, you can enable this as a permanent option as well. And even we have a customization to monitor, record, and audit the remote sessions. For example, if you wanted to monitor, okay, so I'm ending this remote session. So let me go to the console. So if I wanted to monitor who has initiated the session, I can monitor the remote session activities directly here. See how long a technician has spent, technician name, which computer has been accessed, and everything. So this kind of audit reports is also available for you. You can very well use this. And even blacken remote control. So in case if you want to blacken the remote control screen, you know, if you don't want to view anything on the computers, you can blacken the monitors here. So you can use this option. So whenever you remote control in, automatically the wallpaper will be disabled on the machines. So disable wallpaper. So those kind of activities can be pre-configured over here on this. So granular security control settings, so like I said before, here you have security controls like you can use you only mode, or you can disable wallpaper, or you can show a notification to the users who is working on it. You can hide a remote cursor, and these kind of controls are available. And even if the session is idle for 15 minutes, or sometimes it can automatically disconnect the remote session as well. So this is also another important feature that you can enable. And of course, role-based access. So this is one important component. So remember, I logged in as a Peter here on this console, and I have logged in as Jonathan on another console here on this method. So I'm using two different accounts. So I can create any number of user accounts by using this option, user administrator. So by using this option, I'll be allowed to create a user based on Active Directory, or it could be a local user as well. And added advantage here is you can specify the scope to which computers this technician should have access to do troubleshootings or different activities. And even you can define a role, like by default, you can allocate an administrator role which will have a full control for all the tabs, or you can even restrict them for a specific roles based on your requirement. So these are all the security features available with respect to Desktop Central in remote control in Desktop Central, right? So if you have any more questions or any scenarios that you want to discuss, you can let us know through chat. Okay, let's move on to the next real-time scenario, which is troubleshooting system slowness. So this is a very basic, very common issues that you will face in an in an IT environment. So let's see what are all the options available in Desktop Central to overcome this kind of issues. Right. So now let's take another scenario here. One of my senior manager, his name is Mark. So he is requesting, he has raised a support ticket again, reporting the system slowness on his computer. Okay. So again, the technician John has to use the features in Desktop Central to troubleshoot on the system slowness. So what are the features available here in this tool? Right. So John logs into his computer, go to tools. So here in this tool section, you have option called System Manager, which is like a remote troubleshooting platform. Okay, remote control is one where you will be engaging the computer as well as the user, and you will do a live troubleshooting. But in case if I don't want to troubleshoot along with the user, and I don't want to consume, or I don't want to utilize the time of the user, right? I don't want to disturb the end user. So I just want to do the troubleshootings in the background without disturbing the user. So in that case, I can go for System Manager option. So here I will see the machines listed again. and I can access it. So now I'm going to access the computer of Mark. Okay, so let us assume this is the computer of Mark. So I'm clicking on this. So first, for the system slowness issue, conventionally we will do some test on the processes running to see whether any unwanted processes are running or not. So I'll go to manage, click on processes. It will give me the list of processes running. It will take some time because it will run a real-time scan and show me the process. So similarly, you can view the services running to see the services running. You can do changes here as well. So let that load. It'll take some time. So meanwhile, let's go for command prompt. Okay, so here, in case if I wanted to do, run some commands quickly in a system privilege, I can run a command, or I can use run as option to switch to any user account and do a command. Uh, Registry settings, if you wanted to change some registry options, you can very well do this from here. And file manager option, if you wanted to add a file or delete a file, you can easily do the file. You can also download a file to your machine using this option. So since this remote control, since this command prompt and this file manager will have access to even system core data, like system sensitive data, we have a specific security settings for the system manager. So you can go to the admin tab here and you have the system manager setting. Where is it? Here it is. In the tool setting, you have system manager setting. You can go to this. So this will have an option to enable or disable this option permanently or for the specific users. So when I say users, I'm referring to the users who will be logging. The technicians will be logging to the console. You can disable this option permanently for all the users, or only for administrator. You can provide access and all that. So this can be customized. So based on your company policies, you can disable it completely or you can have it enabled only for the administrator for some exceptional cases. Right. So now let's go for the processes. All right. So now my aim is to identify whether any unwanted processes running on the machines. All right. So you're still running the process. Mm, okay, let's give it some time. So meanwhile, uh, if you wanted to do some modifications here for, okay, let me take another mission, for example, to show you the other options instead of refreshing the same mission. Okay, let me take this. And if I wanted to analyze the event log, I can analyze the event logs. I can use the filters. I can filter based on the event or based on the alerts and all that. I can see the warnings, alerts. If there is any issues there, I can see this over here, even messages and all that. This can be very much helpful in the troubleshooting. Even device manager, in case if I want to disable any driveways or if there is any driver-based issues, I can go ahead and do disable or check the status of this. I can even see the details of the drivers being used by this. I can see the IDs, device IDs for those drivers and all that here. And even I can see what are all the shares created on that computer, printers mapped onto that computer. I can see the groups available on that computer. I can do modifications here as well. For example, if I wanted to add a user to the administrator group, I can add them over here. Or if I want to delete a user, I can do it from here. And even I can uninstall an application from here instantly by using this option. And I can see the users currently logged in. I can see the status. I can see the SID for each of these missions, domain informations and everything. Okay, so here we go. So this is the actual mission of Mark. So now I see all the processes running. So I can see the sessions. I can see the processes running. If I wanted to do some actions, if I want to kill some processes, I can kill the processes using this option. So that's another advantage for me. Likewise, if I wanted to stop the service directly, I can go for this option. I can find out any unwanted services. I can stop the service over here. So that is also an additional option for me. Okay, so now in the first level, I have done some basic troubleshootings in the process level, checking the event viewer and also the services. I have disabled few things here. So, but here I do not see any considerable change on the system slowness issue. So now my next plan is to clean up some unwanted files, which is like a temporary files, files in the recycle bin, and all other files, the browser cache and all that. So how do I go about it? So again, here in this desktop center, you have tools. In this, you have system tools option. So here you can add a task, right? So here is a task. I'll modify the task to show the options. So I can enable all these tasks like check disk, disk cleanup, and disk defragmenter. I can select all. And next, I'll configure one by one. So if it is check disk, I can select the disk drive that I wanted to run this check disk task. I can enable the mode. I can, check the option whether I need to fix the error or only a quick check. Next would be the disk cleanup, which is very much important. So here we have introduced the new feature called storage sense for Windows 10 machines. So if your Windows 10 version is above 1703, then you should be able to enable this or utilize this option. So this will clean up this disk space automatically by using this inbuilt Windows 10 feature. You can enable that option here. And disk cleanup utilities, other files like temporary files, a browser cache, error files, crash files, and even log files, Windows installation files, backup restore files, and general cleanups can be configured over here in this section. Right. Then next, I'll go for the section called disk defragmenter. So I can enable multiple disk defragmentation as well. So I can select the operation type based on my preference, right? And the priority, low priority or normal priority, and the defragmentation mode. So based on my requirement. So next, I'll choose the targets. Okay. So targets I can select based on the first level. I can select the target based on the remote offices or all remote offices I can select. And even if I go for a sub filter, I will be having an option to select the target based on a site or an OU or a group or a computer or a custom group or dynamic custom group. So we have an inbuilt grouping option called custom group, which is available for desktop center alone. So after installing agents on all the machines, you can name a group like test. You can select the type of group that you want to create, and you can select the machines and add them based on the domains. So if it is static, you will be selecting machines one by one, adding it. And static unique is also the same, which is used only for the user role-based access. And again, dynamic custom group is used based on the filter. So you can set the filter, and based on the filter, the computers will be added again into the group. So now when the target, you can select any of those filters and all that, or you can ignore the filter option, select only the remote offices. So now if I want to target only specific computer, I can even specifically target this computer alone for this requirement. So next section, I'll go for this option called scheduler. So this is very much important. So here is where I will specify. Okay, I'm removing the targets. Okay, I need to refresh this page. Okay, I'm refreshing this page. Okay, here we go. The scheduler option. So in this scheduler option, you have the options to schedule. So you can use a specific administrator credential to use to run this task, to clean up the files and all that. And you can also set the frequency, like daily basis or weekly basis, monthly basis. Even you can do an advanced settings. You can delay the task by 60 minutes or repeat the task for every 1 hour, or you can set the expiry date for this task and all that. and even you can set the conditions only on the certain conditions, on the idle condition, on the power management conditions. For example, if it is idle for 1 hour, you can initiate the task. Otherwise, you can skip the task. So those kind of conditions can be set over here. So even here, you can schedule the storage sense separately by using this option every week, every month, or during low disk space. So automatically, this will be triggered. So by this way, I have configured an method to clean up unwanted files on the computer, Mark's computer, my manager's computer. So now this will run tomorrow at a specific time. So I need to request my manager to report me the status after analyzing this issue for a couple of days. So now I'm going to use the chat option to intimate that what are the steps that I have done for the reported issue, and right what customer has to report. So here I will have this option called video call. I can even use the video call option to initiate a video call and do the communication. So since he is a manager, I can use a video call, or I can use a voice call or a text chat to update the status. Okay, right. So this is an very important feature. Okay, so now in this we have seen Task Manager, how to analyze event logs, check disk, remote command prompt, video chat, and all that. Right. So if you have any questions on this particular module, you can ask your questions in chat. We'll be happy to assist. Okay, so here's the next example, enforcing IT policies on network computers. All right. So in an IT organization, normally, let us assume that in my organization that I wanted to enforce some strict IT policies for cutting down the power utilization. So I wanted to shut down the machines regularly after the business hours, and I need to wake up the machines automatically before the business hours. So how do I do this in the using this desktop center? So here in this tool section, you have this option called remote shutdown. So here you can instantly shut down the machines, or you can do a restart, hibernate, standby. Even you can schedule a task in so I will create a task, I'll set the condition, and I will schedule a task based on the targets. So set the scheduler. So every day at a particular time, the job will trigger the shutdown task and the machines will be shut down. Likewise, if I want to wake up the machines, I can use the wake online option, wake up task, and initiate the wake online task. So to use this wake online option, you have some prerequisites. For example, IP broadcast has to be enabled on your router, and at least one computer for each subnet with the desktop central agent should be alive. And most importantly, you should have the wake online option enabled on the BIOS level and also in the network adapter level. If you install the agent already, so you can enable the network adapter settings by using this agent itself. But for the BIOS level, you need to do that manually. So after that, you can utilize this option. Similarly, you have an option to schedule the wake online task, and based on that, it will wake up the machines before the production hours. All right. So that's all about this particular scenario. Okay. The last scenario here is, assume a scenario that in my organization, my Exchange server is down due to some issues. So this is a very panic situation to the user. So users started reporting this particular issues through numerous tickets. So the help desk technicians will be bombarded by the tickets and all that. So as an administrator, I already started working on this issue, right? With you know, and also I need to intimate the users that their administrators are already working on it to prevent them from creating tickets, multiple tickets on the same issues. So how do I use Desktop Central in this situation? Right. So here in this Desktop Central, you have the tools called announcement. So using this announcement, you can publish any messages. For example, in my situation, my Exchange server is down. So I can specify the message here. I can type in the message. I can set the schedule for the announcement, like start time and end time. I can show this message for every 10 minutes or only once, and I can target this to the user. So this announcement is based on the users, not based on computers. So you can select the target remote office users, or the all users on your domain, or the specific custom group users, or the specific set of users. So by this way, end users will be alerted by this pop-up message, what you have published through announcement, right? So this is also a very big advantage for you to in using this in any uh, situations to alert the users. Instead of sending an email, you can use this option. Right. So that's it about the scenarios that we have for today. And let's also have a quick look at the scenarios, other scenarios and solutions that we came across in our support experience, real quick. So first scenario here. Okay, so how do I measure the time spent by technician who are handling tickets related to desktops? It's very simple. There are two options available here. Remember, when you initiate a remote session, you have this option to trace the usage of a remote control over here. So who has used it, how long it's been used, start time and end time. Even since we have an integration option here, so we have an option to integrate Desktop Central with Service Desk Plus. So if you integrate this option, so you can easily post the status of the ticket, and you can easily add the work log after the remote session to the ticket itself. For example, if I'm connecting to this remote session using the ticket number 381, and after I end this session, so it will immediately prompt me to add the work log, resolution, and all that. So I can even change the status of the ticket as resolved, open, or all that. So I can add the work log here. So if I add the work log and save this, so the work log will be automatically merged with the ticket. So I will see the status here in the resolution history and all that. So even here in this history, you can see who has initiated the session and who has actually worked on this particular issue and everything. So that is an option available for you. So here is this. So this is the work log details. So here you can trace who has actually worked on this ticket. Right. And scenario number 2. We would like to monitor the activities of the students in our school without their knowledge. Is that possible? Yes, of course, this is possible. So like we saw before, here in the remote control option, you have an option to enable view only mode. Okay, it's like a stealth mode. You can enable this option. So this will disable the inputs for you, for the viewer, and this will not disturb the user, and but you can live monitor what the end user is using. So if you have enabled the screen recording, so that screen recording will record the screens as well. And one more thing, you also need to enable this option, notify the end users. So sorry, disable this option, because if you enable this option, the end users will be seeing that someone is monitoring their PC. So that is something is completely feasible. Right, scenario number 3. We are in a healthcare company that needs to be compliant with certain regulations such as HIPAA. Okay, yes, we have discussed about this. Yes, so for the HIPAA compliance, we have this option, user confirmation. You can enable this option before you initiate the remote session. Okay, scenario number 4. Installing and configuring IIS on a remote machine is a complex. I want to document the process, use it as training material for your newcomers. Is this possible? Yes, of course, this is possible. So you can use this option called screen recording. And for the first time as an administrator, you will take a remote session and you can do whatever configuration that you want to do. And of course, that will be recorded. You can download that video and have that as a training material, and you can use that for your training purpose. So that is completely feasible. Scenario number 5. I find my remote sessions are slow when I'm in a different country roaming users. How do I fix this? Okay, this is one common scenario that you might face in a remote control. So like we discussed in the architecture, you can manage the machines, you can remote control the machines even when they are in internet, in a private Wi-Fi network. So in that case, you will be grouping the machines under different remote offices. For example, if you have a separate remote office created for a roaming users, then you will have them grouped under that specific remote office name. For example, here roaming users is my remote office name where I will have all the users connecting from home. So here for those users, I can customize the compression and the color quality. So this will have a considerable changes in the slowness, right? Considerable changes here. So you can use that feature, right? Okay. Scenario number 6. One of the users suspects an unauthorized remote access to his machine and has raised to IT manager. Is there ways to audit the remote connections to his machine? Yes, of course. We have seen this before. So there is two ways. One is through this method, and we also have an option called action log viewer. So here in the admin setting, you have this option called action log viewer under audit. So this will tell you, right, you can filter based on the module, right? So system tools or only remote control or remote shutdown or whatever activity that you wanted to filter, you can filter based on it, and you can see who has actually utilized it, on which user account has initiated that, and everything, right? So this is an option for you. All right. So that's about the scenarios. And finally, we have come to the questions section. So first question is, I'm running desktop central app on my mobile. Can I initiate remote control via app? Yes. So yes, we do have an option called mobile app here. In this mobile app, you can configure on your smartphone, your iDevice and Android, and you can initiate a remote control like you see here on the screen. So this is the app view. After install the application, normally you'll search for the computer name and you'll click on this icon to connect to the machine, and you can enter the reason and all that. And next, here are the gestures that you can use, like pinch, like tap, and all that. So this will give you a idea on what actions that you can perform, and you can control the target machine from the mobile application itself. So that option is also feasible. So question number 2, does the screen recording need to be turned on before you establish the remote control session, or can it be turned on during the session? It has to be enabled before the remote control session, so it has to be done before. So if you have plans to enable screen recording, you should be enabling that from here before. Right. So next, to allow multiple text to work on the same remote, that requires additional license for ManageEngine. Uh, to answer this question, yes, to add multiple users to the console, you need additional technician licenses. So once you have additional technician user accounts configured, added, you do not need any other additional license. You can very well log in with different user accounts and you can access the console. So the license is needed only to add the user account, not for the remote control. Question number 4, will the remote control automatically reconnect the session after the reboot? Yes, of course. If you initiate a reboot session from the remote control, it will reconnect the session. Right. So next, my remote control screen shows port 8443 is blocked. How do I resolve this? Okay, so this is one common issue that you might face. So as we discussed before, we use specific ports for specific actions. Specifically, this port is used for remote control. So so in case if you have any conflict, you can go to the tools and port settings on here, and you can very well change any other port that is available on your computer, or you can unblock the port if it is blocked on your firewall. So by this way, you can eliminate this kind of error messages. Is it possible to take a remote control of roaming users? Yes, of course. Like I said, if the machine having agent and the agent is communicating to the server, if that is green, you can initiate remote control from anywhere. Right. If you have disabled keyboard mouse, does it automatically disable for the new tech sharing the session? No, of course. For the new technician, it will not be disabled, but the new technician will only have the view only mode initially. So the end user, the new technician has to request for active mode, like we discussed before. So that is something that you need to understand on this. Right. So that's it about today's webinar session. Hope you enjoyed the session and hope it was informative. So if you like the session, please do rate us on this webinar on the scale of 1 to 5, whereas 5 is the best. And you can share your feedback through our social medias by using these taglines. And you can stay tuned for the next training, which is on configurations and hidden tricks, which is on the next week, Wednesday. And in case if you're interested in Desktop Central or Remote Access Plus, if you like to have a personalized demo schedule, you can very well request as the demo using this URL mentioned below, or you can let the technicians in chat know that you wanted to have a demo session schedule, and we'll be happy to assist you on that. Okay, all right. So we also have EMS World Tour where we have multiple events, upcoming events. In case if you like to know more about ManageEngine, you can very well utilize these events. So you can register for these events and you can make use of it. All right then, and so I thank you all once again for joining this webinar in your busy schedule. Hope you enjoyed this and have a very great day. Thank you all.